All right, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. It's good afternoon, I guess, right? I'm still getting used to PST, so it feels like dinner time, but thanks all for showing up. Just administrative stuff, forward-looking statement, probably used a million times already, so I'm gonna just pass forward this. And then if you like our story here, then please give us a good rate. If not, then, still give us a good rate. So our topic, revolutionizing PepsiCo BI capability from traditional BI to next-gen analytics powerhouse. Such a fancy word, right? I mean, I didn't come up with the title. I think it's actually powered by Copilot. So I asked, just put it in some words, and they said, this is how you should do it. So that's how we come up with the title. So it's really, let me just quick introductions for myself. So my name is Joshua Ali. I lead Data&AI Global Solution Architect Group in PepsiCo. So I've been in company for 15 years, 2 years, if I would include contracting years or consulting years, that total 17 years. And then I started as Excel VBA developers and a BI developer. And then I went to DBA, and then I did some data scientists, and then I got data engineering work some of the time. And then 4 years ago, I started working as a solution architect, and then here I am. I have a wife and 2 kids, 12-year-old girl and a 10-year-old boy. And then they always ask me, Daddy, what do you do for work? Or my wife asks, what do you do for work? And then I try to explain, and data and analytics, and then they lose in data. So my wife thinks that I'm playing within Excel. And then my kids, they think that I play with a robot. Because every time they see AI, it's like a robot, thanks to the media. So that's how I am. So John, my colleague John, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, definitely. Hello all, I'm assuming you all can hear me. My name is John Abraham, been with Pepsi 32 years, and in my current role, I'm responsible for data solutions for the North America sector. In the 32 years, I've been lucky to play various roles in Pepsi. I managed and designed the ETL for the data warehouses. I was a DBA for a long time, many databases, Redbrick, Oracle, DB2, Sybase, some of them. And played a data warehouse architect and also managed the global data modeling and design team. So currently responsible for the data for North America beverages for North America sector.
All right, so before we start, I just want to quickly just gauge ahead. How many of you guys know what PepsiCo does? All right, good. I mean, you see the product here. When I started working for PepsiCo, because of the name Pepsi, I knew they sell Pepsi, but I didn't know that they sell food. They didn't sell the beverage.
This is mine.
All right, okay, you can have it. So we sell food and beverage products across 200 countries and then, do you know how many brands do we have across the world? Any guess? 80, 200? Actually, it's 120. A little bit, getting there. Yeah, 120 brands around the world. That's not including like diet, variations or zero sugar variation or different flavors. If we were to include that, that'll be a lot. I'm just talking 120 trademark only, like a brand itself. So because of that, we deal with a lot of data. We deal with consumer, customer data, supply chain data, sales and marketing data, operational data, financial data. And if there's a data market, I think we'll just get it. We just say, hey, without a question, we'll just get it. We just have a huge data set. I'm not able to say how much data we have, but we have a lot. We have tons of data. So before we start, I know that even the title is a little bit, title says, hey, from traditional BI to next-gen analytics powerhouse. I want a full disclaimer here, we're not there yet. I'm just trying to share our journey. I'm going to share our journey from how we started as a traditional BI, and then how we got to right now, and then where we are moving into. That's the whole purpose for this one. And then please feel free to share any questions. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. So, why did we start transitioning from traditional BI to AI-enabled augmented analytics? Today, you know what's the #1 BI tool they use in Pepsi? Excel. There we go. Someone says Excel, right? Everyone uses Excel. We introduced Power BI, Tableau. We do everything. We throw DotSpot. Everything we with Databricks, Genie. Everyone's at the end, they always ask, how can I export that to Excel? right? That's the number one questions, right? So then why do we bother traditional BI, right? So quick questions, before we start, let me ask you a question, John. Do you know what happened in 1997?
1997, that's a long time ago. So just to bring reference back to 1997, let's just look at what happened in 1997. Does anybody know who was voted the sexiest man in 1997? Any guesses? Not Joshua. It was George Clooney, believe it or not. So it's going far back as that. Okay.
And then he was a Batman, if you remember, 1997.
Yes, he was the Batman. And the blockbuster hit was Titanic, if any of you young gens know Titanic. And Apple was at the brink of bankruptcy, and in 1997, Steve Jobs was brought back to run Apple. So that's how far back we go. But in Pepsi, in 1997 is when the beverages introduced the first modern data warehouse. And this is a solution that was introduced in 1997 in Red Brick, believe it or not. And I'm sure nobody knows what Red Brick is today, but I'll leave it at that. And so for beverage sector as the beverage sector implementation was going on, there was parallel efforts going on in the food sectors as well, and they were also implementing their data warehouses, and they selected Teradata as theirs. And also internationally, there were many implementations of data marts and data ODSs, and there's a whole bunch of data stores that we have. So in Pepsi, if there is, we have it. And later in around 2008, 2010, we consolidated all of that into our global data warehouse in Teradata. So now, when we implemented Red Brick, it was actually a very successful story. Within a year and a half, we hit the limit of SMP architecture what could provide. So we had to go to a multi-parallel processing system, and we implemented DB2. Now, we also introduced a lot of, like Joshua was saying, we introduced a lot of solutions and technologies. We introduced SAP Business Objects. It wasn't SAP back then, but it's Business Objects. And we have Crystal Reports. Just to call out a little thing on Crystal Report, it was probably live probably in the early 2000s, and it was a homegrown solution where this was our first attempt at providing business the selectability, or almost like a pseudo self-service. The business could go in, select a template, and then they could select what attributes they want, and it would generate the reports that they need, and it would communicate, or it would publish those reports. Surprisingly, we still have that in place, and there's a lot of reports still happening through that technology. We also introduced Essbase, and for all our OLAP cubes, we used Essbase. And later we retired Essbase, and we introduced Tableau. Tableau was also successful, and we soon after introduced Power BI. So Power BI is actually catching on quite fast. Now, all of this, we are still not able to get the importance of Excel. So what we did was, like I said before, we consolidated all of our data globally from a data warehouse, into a traditional data warehouse in Teradata. So all our global data now sits in Teradata. We have almost a petabyte of data there. And that is our background on where we started our journey from a data perspective.
All right. So as a Canadian, some of you are Canadian. I don't know if anyone is Canadian. I'm a Canadian. I have to say famous quote from Canadian just because I have a podium here. It says, Wayne Gretzky says, skate to where the puck is going to be, not where it has been. Everyone wants to skate to where the puck is going to be. However, with this current environment that you saw, we could not help the business to achieve that using the data only, using this platform. To be honest with you, the data used was mainly for reporting. It was really using for describing what happened. So they were just using as a reference. Oh, we did sales this much yesterday. Great, that's good. But it wasn't really used as of making decisions for the future. They were using business basically making decisions out of hinge, out of previous experience, and that they were comfortable with that. And because of, the reason that we had was because a lot of the limitations of the traditional BI. As you can see, I'm not going to read through what those are. Probably you guys all know. You guys probably been through and through. one of the things that we had to really think about as a key here that I wanted to say here is that even though we are talking about AI right now, we weren't scaled to the AI. I mean, thankfully, this journey that we started, we caught on before. So there was many different data. Different data warehouse. We had a Teradata, we had Oracle. Even though we're trying to merge everything, it was all different sources. And then with different BI team, we had a shadow IT team. They're building their own reports because they think that IT is slow. There's a mess. There is no data governance. And then one of the critical things with the data AI that we were going to talk about in the future, it was data duplication everywhere, and literally data governance was not there, period. And as you know, it took 2.5 years to reach 10 million subscribers for Facebook, but Instagram took only 1 year. But for ChatGPT, as you know, it only took 5 days in 2022. So we had to do something about that. AI is coming soon, and then it's coming to us. So what we did was our journey began to next-gen analytics Powerhouse. Now, this is our first attempt in our architecture. We wanted to make sure that, okay, Teradata traditional BI system, that's great, okay, but we had to, back in 2019, just before COVID, we had an idea, okay, we're going to implement medallion architecture and then a big global data lake. And then we had a global data lake, we have a sector data lake. So sector data lake, they had their own. So just to explain how PepsiCo works, we have as a global company, we have a European sector, we have a North American sector, we have et cetera. So they had their own sector data lake. They had a global product. Anything the global product, they put in a global product. And then what the vision was, hey, whether the data is coming from, which source is coming from, we wanted to make sure that we had one version of truth in a gold layer. That's why you're seeing a gold layer here. Reception was absolutely great. People loved it. It was one of the things, there was great partnership with the Databricks. They were one of the probably pioneer for using Databricks for all these things. All the ML, we started loading the ML workload, and then we were actually moving from traditional data warehouse to data lakes that supports advanced analytics. We've been building our first ML-driven model started in 2017. 2018, which was revolutionary at the time. And then we truly believe the power of big data. And then as we going into big data era, we wanted to catch on that and we wanted to build advanced analytics. But still in this here, we had a lot of challenges. First, key things to highlight, data duplications. We still had many data duplication. Data exists in both global and sector data lake. We need to create, we call it platinum area. It's a really glorified level of data duplication, right? They said, it's for the reporting purpose only. So what really, it led to high cost of ownership. Performance, you had lots of challenge. And then things that we built on Databricks, we had to actually copy in multiple places, without the proper data governance, we're missing the key KPIs. And then it was about, we did not know how to do data correctly. In the name of, I don't know if you remember, we had this agile methodology phase in our company too. And in the name of the agile methodology, we load the data quickly as quickly as possible. That was our goal. Our slogan was deliver things faster and data quality governance later. That was that was us. But because of that, data and AI workload was treated completely separately. We had to always think about worrying about, is data correct? We had to second guess. Yeah, this is an awesome product. We always had to second guess. How did this data get in from here to here? But at the same time, what we really didn't know is we're duplicating data everywhere. So we decided we had to do something about it. So we began a journey after a little bit after COVID. We were start building, okay, now we need to build a next-gen analytical powerhouse. So first, you can see it, there's 3 things. Data platform transformation was number 1 thing. And then AI-centric data analytics and infrastructure transformations. So data platform transformation, just the key things to highlight is the data governance. We wanted to do something about the data governance. Data governance is a key. And then without quality data governance, we won't be able to achieve a true AI-centric platform. And then we wanted to establish data lakehouse, central data lakehouse. We currently we're working in a long journey, huge project. One of the major projects that we're doing is all the sector lake that you saw, and then all the the scalable. We're actually merging everything into one centralized. That's what we did. We're going to establish data warehouse, data lakehouse, and then that was able because we were using Databricks platform, and then we want to transition approach data as a product. Now we had a gold layer, we had a silver, medallion technology, but what we really did wanted to do was every data, we wanted to now treat it as a product. So we have a product owner, we have a data owner. That's what we wanted to do as a data. And then also AI-centric data analytics. We had to integrate data with AI capabilities. That was our number one thing, as you highlighted here. And then through that, we are building AI-driven data analytics. And the last thing, we really need to accelerate cloud transformation. We had a lot of on-prem. We still have few on-prem, but I believe we were almost 99% cloud, our company right now. So we're there. We're still not fully there, but we're accelerating cloud transformations because we want to achieve data and AI operation. We're using FinOps, MLOps, and DevOps. So this is a kind of snippet of what we are trying to do right now as a BI. This is not including our AI workload because I really want to focus on the BI, what we want to do as a data analytics platform. What we did was we simplify that. We call it our data enterprise foundations. We have that. And then as you notice there, now we're using Informatica along with the Unity catalog, along with ICDQ tool. We are strengthening the data governance piece. And then we wanted to make sure, and we're in the middle of thinking of implementing Lakeflow as well. So there's a lot of things we're coming up. But key thing here is that as you saw from our previous slide, we had using Presto, we're using Synapse, we're using Teradata, we're using multiple Denodo. We're using a lot of multiple places to be the data center, but I'm going to highlight it there. We're using data. We're dedicating Databricks SQL as our main data warehouse to source all our product, all our consuming product, which is whether it's Power BI, whether it's Tableau, whether it's ThoughtSpot, whether it is web app. That's what we wanted to do. No, Excel. Excel too, if we can. But now, yeah, that's probably something we can talk about later.
From reaction, it looks like it's not just a Pepsi problem.
So, how did Databricks help? So like I said, so all three things we tell you. So Databricks, first thing is data platform transformation. We are able to achieve through Unity catalog. Like I said, I know we have Informatica as a data governance tool, but at the same time, Unity catalog enables us to get the true end-to-end data lineage, right? And then also it streamlined our data access point. So we knew how to do it with passing through the security. And then we also enable open table formats. We can easily share the data across the platform. And then as you know, we are actually moving into AWS as well, not just Azure. We're an Azure platform, but we're in AWS. By Databricks open source platform, we're able to achieve that as well. And then we're building AI-centric data analytics as well. We're starting AI for BI. That's becoming one of the key topic in our company today. And then we really wanted to connect any analytics tool into one place, which is through the Databricks SQL. And then at the same time, we're doing serverless structures with in turns giving us the low cost of ownership. And then we truly simplified and data and AI infrastructures architecture in there. So and then that also translated us into performance improvement as well. So John's going to come and then kind of give us little snippet of the way. We got a lot of examples, but John's going to probably talk about 5 what we actually did so far.
Yeah, so most of the solutions that we talk about really was born out of necessity. It was either overcoming some issues that we have or addressing some business needs that the business wasn't able to fulfill. Now, we did partner with Databricks and many other vendors who's already done this, so it's not something that we were trying to invent all by ourselves. I just wanted to call that out because good partnership is pretty critical in the success of any new technology. Now, for the first use case, I'll just talk about the financial analytics system. We have a very large financial analytic platform providing insights to users across the globe, primarily using Tableau dashboards. However, we had to optimize the process of generating the Tableau dashboards due to high cost and severe performance issues. So we introduced Databricks SQL and achieved the required results while reducing the cost. So what we did was we used the medallion architecture. We brought all the data together and eliminated data duplication, and we calculated all the metric in one place, and that remains a single version of the truth. Now, anybody who's needs to use those metrics, so this way it avoids confusion of which spreadsheet was correct. So that was one of the real good achievements that we had. Now, we also introduced, in North America beverages sales teams, they need up-to-date data real-time data to do real-time analytics. And we were actually so we couldn't achieve that from the current solutions. So what we did was we introduced Databricks SQL, and we optimized those solutions, and we were able to make those adjustments. And the performance, we were able to achieve performance that we couldn't achieve from the traditional solutions. As we introduced Databricks SQL and Unity Catalog, we also enabled many of the we also unlocked some of the capabilities for our sales analytics solutions. We enhanced our suggested ordering, where they have up-to-date data, so that they don't have to make guesses. It's all data-driven. It was data-driven decisions, not necessarily just the representatives going and talking to the customer and using their experience or their history. So that was one of the big achievements that was unlocked by Databricks SQL and Unity Catalog. We also enhanced our active alert system, by which we were able to provide business up-to-date alerts, by which the business can adjust to market changes and also to operational issues very, very quickly. Now, the fourth solution that I wanted to talk about is we faced an immense issue with the food sales analytics that was done in Presto environment. So we had several critical failures using the Presto environment, and we had to compute pretty much a lot of these solutions one segment at a time. By using Databricks SQL serverless, we were able to do those computations, all segments, and in pretty reasonable time. And the other thing that we enabled using Databricks SQL was we have a very heavy Synapse solution in place today, and we are able to now retire Synapse using Databricks SQL and Unity Catalog. So what Unity Catalog enabled us to manage access to all users across the environment. And that will also give us governance capabilities. And so just to deep dive on one of the sales analytics example. So one of the business problems was that our pre-sales and food service representatives needed up-to-date metrics when they were having these discussions with the customers. And they were getting this data through API calls from their handheld devices. Now, using the traditional solutions that we have in Teradata, we were not able to achieve the response time that was required for these solutions. Most of the time it works because we had a 60-second response time requirement for these API calls. Most of the time it works, but when the system is overloaded, we couldn't guarantee those. And that was one of the big pain points that we had, because these were pretty heavy requests coming in pretty frequently, and they needed this almost 24/7. So one of the things that we did was we decided to do a POC, and we used Databricks SQL Pro to start doing this POC, where we went with very small machines, X small machines, and it was just 5 nodes, and we could scale it up to 15 if required. And also our goal was that it should support about 50 concurrent users at that time for the POC. Now, initially the experiment didn't really succeed out of the box, so we had to partner with Microsoft and with Databricks, and we did a few things. We optimized the file layout, we optimized some of the queries, and then we also optimized some of the clustering. Now, for the file layout, we denormalized many of this data so that the access can be faster. We applied z-ordering, and we even implemented liquid clustering on critical conditions. We also enabled the auto-compaction and optimized writes. Now, that did increase the speed, and we were very close to achieving what we wanted to achieve. And in addition, what we did, we even replaced the queries. That was a lot of re-engineering that had to be done. We replaced the queries where we replaced all the delete insert operations with create and replace. And we also started using managed tables instead of data frames. Now, for the clustering, like I said before, we used X small machines, and we adopted spot instance policies. And that enabled us the start time issues that we have with these sub-second query requirements. Now, we also did further improvements to enable additional features. Primarily, we went with Databricks SQL serverless, and we enabled we had a large number of concurrent users. We were able to support and sustain a large number of concurrent users. And using Photon, we were able to reduce the cost about 80%. Now, finally, our architecture looks a little different from where we started. We enabled many of the other solutions in addition to what was our problem statement. We were able to achieve the sub-second response time by using microservices and also enabling Databricks SQL serverless.
And one of the things that I wanted to call out here is, you see the difference, but the features are increased as well. We started with the real time, but as you can see, we have, like what John alluded to earlier, we were able to do active alerts, suggested order, brand aggregation on spot, and then sales snapshot, wherever they go. So wherever they move, a sales rep move around, they will be able to achieve these additional features as well.
And with all of this, we actually provided business value. The main thing that we achieved really was providing trusted data sets. So this way the business is able to rely on the data, and it's more time appropriate and correct. So we can now we can onboard new capabilities with Databricks SQL and Unity Catalog, and along with Azure Lakehouse. And moving to Photon-enabled clusters also helped us reduce the cost tremendously. And we were able to achieve 50% faster processing time when compared to legacy technologies that we were earlier trying to use.
All right, thanks, John. And then I want to just go through another one that we wanted to kind of go deep dive. Now, probably you guys know Synapse, MS Synapse. It came in as one of the main tools for Microsoft. So what we did was we actually implemented this back in 2020 2021 when it first came out, and then we were actually putting it as one of the major data warehouse for us for all the Power BI usage. But what happened was we had a business problem now. So North America division now, they're looking at, hey, we're gonna transform our data. We want to actually go into really be a leader in data and AI. Our leaders were there. The demand was their demand was there. They really had a huge ambitions, and they wanted us to really see how we can enable that. However, like I said before, we're running into these two critical issues right here. We lack the centralized enterprise data warehouse. Yes, we do have a Teradata. Yes, we do have a data lake, but some of them are used by Presto. Some of them they're querying from we had to load that into Synapse. And then one of the things was everyone has a multiple version of the truth again, because we are not central, we don't have a centralized data warehouse. And then even though we're trying to do that under Synapse, this data was stuck in Synapse. We didn't have to, whatever that we have to, people wanted to use to create a report, like for example, Excel reports or any exploratory work. We could not give them access to Synapse because sometimes they'll blow up the Synapse. I mean, Synapse is a very expensive machine. We actually spend a lot of money on, I mean, you probably don't want to hear how much we're spending on Synapse today. So it's that expensive. And then, at the same time, because of lack of data, there's data duplications, because of a lack of data lineage in Synapse, we couldn't really achieve data governance, which is also leads to performance degradations and so on. So this is kind of before, a simplified version of the before. What we had was we have all the data in Lake, right? On a gold layer, we call it gold layer. We copy everything into the Synapse, right? One-to-one. The reason was Power BI, in order just to meet the Power BI performance. I mean, Power BI has a really fancy tool and hybrid model we really do love. So we aggregate everything, we pull import on whatever most used KPIs, and when they drill down, it drill down to Synapse, and then we were able to achieve sub-second response time, which is great. But again, this is a duplicating data everywhere, and they were sharing KPIs and Synapse to other tools like Tableau or ThoughtSpot or other things we are using. Impossible. And the high cost of maintaining Synapse environment is also one of the biggest challenges that we had. So what we did was, working with the Databricks team, we weren't even had a Unity catalog enabled at the time. And the Unity catalog was announced, I think, it was just announced in, Summit, and then it was there, and then we said, we gotta do something about this. So we actually went in, and then we said, okay, what about, let's throw in the wildest idea, let's take the Synapse out, and then why don't we put DB SQL in there? And then we did that, we actually did that. And then right in time, Unity catalog as it becoming popular, there come another product from Microsoft called Fabric. Fabric came along, and then they said, hey, we can actually utilize Unity catalog as your main security, and then all the lineage will be carried over to Microsoft. So there's a great chance. So they actually had a thing called Shortcut, which you don't have to copy the data. So what we did was, okay, this will be a great chance for us to test these features now. So our goal was to lower the overall maintenance expenses at the same time, not sacrificing on the current performance that we have. So, benefit of doing this, 3 critical benefits. Low total cost of ownership was one of the biggest one that we saw. This is just one of the instances that we have. It costs $500,000 with the 3-year reserve pricing with the Microsoft. We were able to reduce that to using pay-as-you-go model for Databricks SQL serverless in $175K. With the same, without performance degradations. So what we did was, it's very simple architecture. We just removed the middle layer, which is Synapse. We just full import from Databricks SQL to Power BI. So that was able to, through that, we were able to cut down 2 hours of middle layer, because what we have to do was today, we do gold layer to Synapse and Synapse to Power BI. We got rid of Synapse, and then we go from gold layer directly to Power BI using DB SQL. I mean, probably some of you guys are wondering, how come you guys didn't do that before? Databricks SQL Server SQL wasn't available at the time, so that's why we didn't do that. We had to use Synapse. So it was really, and then at the same time, because by enabling Unity catalog with that, we're able to scale compute up and down based on dynamic needs. So we don't have to Synapse. We were actually stuck at 24/7 cost. It was a 3-year reserve pricing. We couldn't scale up and down. But now with the Databricks server, we were able to control the cost, when we only pay for when we use. And then one of the things we did was UC implementation huge. We are not only able to utilize serverless, it gives us compatible with the Fabric, which is easier for us to do data lineage, and then data access. And then at the same time, we're reducing data duplications. And then probably, as you know, probably you will hear like later on, we're also very, very excited to try. We're going to utilize metric, right? We're going to use metric to as we're getting into this agentic framework. We're going to try to see if we can do it with the universal semantic layers per se, with metric as well. But this was a painful experience as well. It wasn't easy. It was successful at the end, as you saw, but it wasn't easy. So still there's an issue with the one leg and performance. Like I said, for Synapse, what we have a very hybrid model that works perfectly. We have a large customer level sales information, KPI, across North America that requires sub-second response time. So when people are going around, when they open the Power BI report, they are able to open it within 5 to 10 seconds with all the KPIs available. But if they don't do that, you get the phone ring. You're saying, hey, my Power BI is not working. They couldn't wait 10 or 20 seconds. That's how demanding our business partner was. So we still dealing with some issues. The DB SQL model currently works very well with the full import, but I'm working with partnering with the Databricks SQL, and we're actually going to improve that as well. And then also by using Synapse analyzers and the Synapse analyzer is Blade Bridge. They acquired the company, and then we were able to use it. By using that, we are able to properly performance tune as well. So we know what to do. We have over 23 Synapse that we need to migrate into DB SQL in the future. But it will give us fast track on how we can actually do that. And then we had some Simber drive issues, and we had some timeout issue that we had to go over. But by working with Microsoft, working directly with the Databricks, we were able to resolve it. So one of the key takeaway from all of you guys, if you're actually doing some of these migration work, please utilize Databricks team. They're here to support you. Your success is very, very critical for them, and there's just testimony from them. And then I got full permission from Databricks team to say this because they said they'll be here to support you, right? So this is very critical. And then we are, in conclusion, are we there yet? No, we haven't reached there yet. We're not getting it, but I'm super optimistic about our future because we have a clear direction and technology to support it. With open source data lakehouse, we can enable centralize all our global data to one place. And then with Lakeflow, we can easily simplify the data load process. And then with serverless infrastructure, we can perform various AI analytics at scale super efficiently. And then with the Databricks Assistant, Databricks SQL, and Unity Catalog, we can now provide dependable one version of the true source from all data workload that we're having with the proper data governance. Can be used various data analytics, including agentic framework. So I want to thank you very much. I know 2 minutes left, but I thank you so much for staying till now and then not leaving here. And then I got 2 minutes left here, so if you have any questions, it's a question time. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Any questions? Yes.
So the plan is remove all the data silos to this new application.
Yes, that is our plan. No Teradata. Yeah, we're actually, our plan is to have a one central data. We call it enterprise data foundations. So we are right now in the process of migrating Teradata. We're migrating all the sources that we have into, if it's used as mainly data warehouse, we're going to use that. And then also all the sector data lake that you saw, we're trying to merge it into one place as well.
And your data scientists, they can access the other layers on this.
Correct, exactly. I would love to have a chance to talk about the data science stuff, but we're actually building also data science workbench that we're actually building some of the things so that it can seamlessly connect directly to one that, data foundation that I talked about, and that all the workload will be there. Yeah, and the Unity Catalog enables a seamless transition between, the data access. Yes?
So with everything kind of going into one space, how is PepsiCo prioritizing different kind of capabilities? And I know we talked about Lakehouse, but is the main focus with the central data workflow strategy that you're going to build, is it going to first focus in on, say, supply chain or how are you guys taking this process and implementing it in business?
Great questions. So the question was how we're prioritizing the workload between supply chain, consumer. So we actually, if we had a luxury of doing it in sequence like that, we would have done it. But right now, we have needs for every single area. Like supply chain, they wanted to implement the supply chain. For commercial, we wanted to do a lot of even personalizations of the people, right? And these are all AI enabled, right? So unfortunately, we are in a hard task of trying to do it all at once. So we have a separate, multiple teams working it at the same time, different product teams. So
Yeah, and
the challenge is there, but we're still good, yeah.
And just to add to that, we have sub-teams within that, within the same team that is dedicated to different initiatives. So this way, everything goes parallelly, but still under one organized governance.
I have one more question, yes.
That's really interesting. You mentioned smaller nodes of the cluster and multiple clusters.
Yes.
Can you talk through that?
Yeah, so for us to achieve the concurrent usage, because we had a concurrent, query itself wasn't that big, right? You saw the data size, right? So in there, what happened, we had a large cluster, and then the queries are speeding up, but we ran into that, I guess at the time, because the server, SQL Server Pro, what happened, DB SQL Pro, we ran into concurrency issue. There's a throughput challenge. So instead of doing that, we actually doing extra small clusters, and then we allocated all the queries in there. And then that was way more successful than having one large one.
And that was for one use case.
Yes.
It's not for everything.
No, the queries were query management, right? When they come, Databricks does query management, and the clusters we built in within cluster. No, sorry? Yeah. Yeah, so within the one cluster, we had a multiple Databricks SQL. Yes, that's what we had, yes.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you very much. And then I'll be staying behind. If you have any personal questions, I'm more than happy to answer any questions. Thank you.